finally, as they say, it's another edition of Racing World. Yes, it's been a long time between drinks, that's for sure, but we're back, and thanks very much for following us, sharing us, subscribing to us, all of those wonderful things. But it's great to be back with Racing World. We're going to do a little bit of a catch-up because it's been a busy few months. There's been a lot going on. Kiwis Born to Fly 3 is now currently in production, so for people in New Zealand, you'll be able to see that in the early part of 2026. But let's get back to the main topic, Indycar. Going to go all the way back to the magic month of May. Now, one of the things I was able to do whilst in Indy was talk to Kyle Larson and Louis Foster, and I changed the subject on them a bit because Larson was kind of getting a little bit just sick of the same old questions. So I tailored it towards New Zealand. So for New Zealand viewers, you'll find this quite interesting. And I asked them what their memories were of New Zealand.
Got time for one or two more, David?
Kyle, this is a question for you from New Zealand. Trying to think of different questions for you here.
Thanks.
The thing about it is you're at an iconic speedway here. You've got a fellow New Zealander now in Cup with you with SVG. And then you were a regular feature at Western Springs Speedway in New Zealand over the years. It's sadly closed now, is it, this season? What's a memory that you have of racing down under in New Zealand?
Yeah, I always loved going to New Zealand. It's honestly probably some of the best racing memories I have to this point. You know, just getting to spend time down there with, you know, our Kiwi friends and who kind of turned into family, and you know, other Americans going there to race, you know, racing 15 minutes outside of Auckland, you know, with 15,000 people there for a dirt race was pretty crazy. The racing was always good. You had off days to spend as vacation, you know, going to Waiheke Island and going on, you know, wine tastings on your, you know, scooter, and all that was fun. So, yeah, I haven't gotten to go since 19 and 20. So I've missed going there. I wish I could have got there for, you know, the final season, but yeah, it's just unfortunate, but hopefully, you know, maybe someday it'll reopen.
And then also, just as a follow-up, that Louis, you obviously raced down in the CT Frock Series, Toyota Racing Series at circuits like Hampden Downs and stuff. How different are New Zealand circuits for people who live in New Zealand that are seeing this by comparison to the circuits here in the US?
Honestly, they're pretty comparable. I think circuits that tend to be similar, like Japan, England, New Zealand, tracks with a lot of runoff, grass after the curbs, no room for error, as opposed to what we see now with the new Formula One circuits, where it's just painted tarmac and it's just parking lots and it's boring. You know, look at Paul Ricard, like, yeah, it's not fun. So I think the tracks in New Zealand are great. I didn't get to go to the South Island, unfortunately. But yeah, I did Hampton Downs and the other two, I forget the name of them now, Taupo and Manford, that's it, yeah. And they were awesome. I loved it. One day I'd love to go back, probably not racing the series again, but definitely go back and see some of the guys that I met there. And I mean, similar to Kyle, you know, same thing, you know, we had, I was down there for 3 weeks, and then between the races, we went out, had a vacation, you know, chilled out, enjoyed the lovely Kiwi summer.
I think we'll get you both jobs for New Zealand Tourism Board and get you down there. Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Two good candidates. Guys, thanks for coming up.
Well, that was Indy, and that was the month of May. And as we well know, Alex Plough took his first victory at the mighty 109th running of the Indy 500. And it certainly was a very interesting race. It was the fourth coldest race in the history of the 500. And I can honestly tell you, it was cold. It was grey. It lacked just a little bit of that normal atmosphere that you get when the sun's out. It was still a great race, don't get me wrong, but it was one that was kind of just a little bit weird as well. And for the Kiwis, it certainly wasn't a fantastic day with McLaughlin's issues early on, Dixon with the brake issues early on. It was just one of those things. Anyway, the series moved on. It did Detroit and everything, and it's ended up at Road America. By now, summer is in full swing in the US, and for many parts of the US, they were certainly getting some great heat. So for Road America, heat was a major concern. Got the chance to talk to Louis Foster again, but one of the issues that was coming up was heat and what it was doing to the hybrid unit. So I kind of tried to get it out of him. Didn't really get the answer I was looking for, but there was definitely concerns amongst a lot of teams about whether the hybrid unit could cope with the heat temperatures.
We've got time for one question off Zoom. David Turner from Racing World. Go ahead, David. What you got?
Thanks very much. Hey, Louis from New Zealand. Nice to talk to you again. Just looking towards tomorrow and the heat. would there be a concern over whether the hybrid's going to get too hot? And is there anything that you can do for additional cooling around that area of the car that's, within the rule book or anything to help that if that becomes a situation?
I just drive cars, man. I don't know how the hybrid works. So that's not a question for me, but we'll see. There were issues at thermal. We didn't have an issue at thermal at RLL. But I'm sure the people that are much smarter than me will figure that out.
And then for you physically, is the heat an issue, or it's just another day of driving really? But do you notice anything with the aero screen when the heat gets as high as what it is?
Yeah, it's hot. It's very hot. And obviously we have the cool suits which help a little bit. The aero screen obviously makes it a lot more difficult with just lack of air circulation. So it's going to be a very, very tricky race tomorrow for the cars, the drivers, the pit crews, everyone around. So yeah, I think it's just about staying as hydrated as possible and as fueled as possible. Can't do much about it really. It's going to be hot. Just got to make the most of it.
Well, congratulations on the pole. You're on we'll call it an extended version of Hampton Downs. So it started back here in New Zealand. So congratulations and go well tomorrow. Well, didn't kind of get the answer I was looking for, but you get the idea of the fact that heat is playing a part and the hybrid is vulnerable when it comes to the heat. But in saying that, we saw pretty much no failures relating to the hybrid engine or the hybrid components. So in that sense, it's a pretty good job, and everyone involved in that, both Chevrolet and Honda, doing a fine job. The series moved on, and then we ended up at Ohio, Mid-Ohio Racetrack, a permanent course that one Scott Dixon has had great success at over the years, and it was to prove yet again a place for Dixon. 21 years of consecutive winning a race in a season in this championship. Now that is an amazing milestone. Anyone who questions that or questions the ability of the Kiwi, just stop and think about that. 21 years in the game, and for 21 years he's scored at least one win. So that is an amazing statistic that any driver would be very, very envious of, if you like. And whilst Palau is on a great one, this is another thing that says Dixon's not done and dusted in this series yet. Certainly might be on the maybe second or third type race for the championship this year, not first. But he's certainly not done in this championship. And he proved to everyone that he's still the Iceman, still the number one dog by taking out a win at Mid-Ohio.
Yeah, as soon as I saw the caution at the start, which we'd been talking about, I was like, man, the two stoppers on. We worked pretty hard this morning in the warm-up on fuel mileage and making sure that we got the car balance kind of where we needed it. First stint was pretty easy. Second stint, we actually got into a bit of trouble on the soft tires, just with the left front. I don't know if it was that tire, but kind of 10 laps in, I'm like, I could see it starting to come apart. And I knew that we were kind of locked in on the two stopper, so that was going to be pretty difficult. And we pushed and kind of, used the average on the black tires and used them a little bit more once we got to the final stop. And the final stop, actually, they didn't take any of the front wing out. So it was so loose for that last stint. I was just really looking at the corner and the car would turn itself, which is, one, it's really physical, but two, it's really hard to push extremely hard because you start to lock rears, especially into 4, into 2, and also into 9, where ultimately that got Alex. So yeah, we were hoping that we were going to clear him, but obviously they were super fast today and pushing really hard on the 3 stopper. And maybe earlier on in the stint, I should have pushed a little bit harder, but just wasn't sure what was going to really happen with that left front on the red. So he made the mistake. So, kudos for us and the team, everybody on the number 9, everybody at HRC to get the mileage that we had to. I don't know how many others were on the 2-stopper. Hey, I don't know where the next highest kind of wound up, but the 60. Ah, yeah. So 6. That was really good. So, congrats to Felix as well. But yeah, tough day. Yeah, it was nice to kind of have that flip on Alex after what happened at St. Pete this year. So yeah, it's a good finish. But can't thank the team enough. They Mike and everybody on the crew. The pit stops were fantastic, and ultimately the strategy worked out well.
Before Mid-Ohio, the teams got to test it at Iowa. For a number of the teams had nominated that as one of their tests. The Penske crew were all there, all 3 cars, and this has traditionally been a short oval that's worked very well for Penske. There was a lot of other variables coming into play, a change in the downforce levels on the cars, mandated by Indycar was going to produce maybe slightly better racing. It was unknown at that stage, but one of the big concerns was the heat and the amount of effort that was coming in from the added downforce. And I spoke with Will Power about this, and he was very clear about the fact that this was a pretty big deal.
The challenges will be being able to hold on for a stint. They've just added so much downforce that it's so stuck that it's actually painful. I did half stint, and I'm like, man, I didn't know if I could actually continue. like I think there's going to be people like stopping just because it's so painful. It's too much grip.
Yeah, I agree. It's going to be extremely physical, and maybe that changes in the race. Maybe people save fuel a little bit more, and it will probably, the race pace will slow down from what we're doing at the test. But how much, and because we have to do it twice, so it's going to be a rough one.
Just take note of what Will Power said there, because after the race, when they got to Iowa, I asked him exactly the same question, and you'll hear his reaction a little later on. But it certainly proves that IndyCar is a very physical type of car to drive. It just is. It's not the luxury of, say, a Formula One car where there's a lot of assistance and stuff. IndyCar is a brutal, heavy car to race, and I think Will Power summed it up pretty well there. So onwards anyway to the doubleheader at Iowa, the only doubleheader really in the championship this year. I don't know if I'm a fan of doubleheaders or not, but it certainly puts the pressure on the teams. Night racing, yes, I'm a big fan of. I've seen many night races. I think they're a great spectacle. The cars look amazing at night. You see so much more than what you do during the daylight. They're really, really good value. Anyway, got the chance to talk to Will after the race, the first race on the Saturday, and I asked him that same question that we'd asked just a few weeks earlier, and that was the reference to how physical this track was and whether it was hard on the body. And here's his reaction. You mentioned a couple of weeks ago in one of the press conferences, I think it was at Road America, about the changes in the downforce levels at this track and how you thought it could be a lot more physical. Did that actually play out in the race, or was it similar to last year?
Yeah, it wasn't initially when everyone was just saving fuel going slow, but once we started hammering, it got physical. Like at the end there, man, like oh my God, big arm pump, just trying to hold on. It was nice when it went yellow, you could sort of open your hands, shake them out a bit. Like your grip, when I came to pit, I could hardly pull the paddle and press the neutral button. Like it was very difficult for me because you had so much arm pump. So it got pretty hard. And I think it'll be harder tomorrow. There's more grip. People have better cars. Yeah. And it'll be a more hectic race because everyone knows there's 2 lanes. So you're not going to sit back and save fuel. You're going to try to pass.
After the effects of the rain and everything yesterday, and now that the track's rubbered up a bit, will that second lane really become a true second lane?
Yeah, no, it's rubbered in. Like it'll actually help the race tomorrow. It'll already be rubbered in. Everyone will have seen that you can run 2 lanes. Everyone will run 2 lanes. So essentially, it will be just better racing. And sometimes everyone's car improves and that sort of stops a bit of passing. But yeah, it'll be looking forward to it.
Well, I think Will sums it up quite well, and these are a physical car to drive. The team's in for a big pounding this weekend when they get to the streets of Toronto, known for its bumps and all of those sorts of things. So it's no easy ride, and these consecutive weekends of racing certainly take its toll, not only on the drivers, not only in the components in the car, but the teams as well. And just imagine the haul that they're doing from Iowa back to Indy, to Toronto, back to Indy, across to the West Coast to Laguna, back to Indy, then up to Portland. There's a lot of logistics involved in this thing. Anyway, there was a much celebration for the Chevy teams at Iowa after the first race, with Pato O'Ward taking out a race win. Well deserved, well timed out. He paced himself against Newgarden very, very well. Everyone thought that Newgarden was going to dominate, but Pato played his hand at exactly the right time. But one thing that came up in the post-race press conference that I was quite intrigued by, and I've kind of seen it myself, but I just thought it was maybe me, is the slightly different Joseph Newgarden we see these days to the Joseph Newgarden we saw a couple of years ago. And Pato kind of alludes to it. So just have a listen to this.
I mean, he's the guy that I've been most around, especially to win races. And if it wasn't for him, I would have a lot more wins. But he's a tough competitor. I think this year for him has been quite different to what it's been in the past. And I see him very differently, to be honest. Like his attitude and everything is definitely not the Joseph that I've always, praised, I would say. But I've studied him. I know how to race him, and um, he just he gets what he gives. So if he was flirting with fire there, then that's what he got, and that's what I was gonna give him. Because you get to these points in your career, and for me, especially today, when I was behind him, I said, today is the day that's going to change because, um, you know, it's obviously he's got a lot more experience than I do, but I think over the years, I've grown to realize that I'm pretty handy at least in certain ovals. And I believe our package is very strong, and it's important to capitalize when we can get those wins. We were super close in Gateway, and we've been so close there, and now here we've won here before, but it's kind of given to us when Joseph had a failure there, that 50th race for me that I won here, and I said, you know what, today we're gonna, I knew I had all the pieces in place um to outright beat him at his own game, and yeah, that's what we did today, and it obviously is a great feeling to go into tomorrow and know that we've got a car that we can fight our way forward and yeah, battle our way and see what we can make happen.
Onwards then to the second race on the Sunday, and traditionally what happens is the teams take it quite conservatively in some ways in the first race, knowing that they've got to do it again the next day, and the next race always seems to be a little bit more harder fought, a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more of everything, knowing that this is the only race of the weekend effectively left, so teams were right in it. But the significant thing here was a great performance from Marcus Armstrong, finishing on the podium, backing up his ninth from the first race, and Dixon back there again in second as well. It was really cool to talk to two Kiwis after the race. They had a little bit of coming together around lap 197. I kind of hinted at the fact that it was a bit like being on the Auckland motorway, but I didn't really get kind of the funny answer I was looking for. But these guys certainly drove a great race, and it was great to be able to talk to them.
Let's go take one or two off Zoom. David Turner, Racing World. You got two of your drivers here, David. Go ahead.
Yeah, we've got two. We're aiming for the clean sweep, and that'll happen one day soon, Dave, so don't worry about that. First of all, to both of you, talking about lap 197, I guess you could compare that with driving down the Auckland motorway, really, couldn't you?
Oh, 197.
Yeah.
You got it.
Yeah. I'm going to steer clear of that because I think a comment that came into my mind is not going to work. I'll get in trouble. Let's stay politically correct on this one.
Okay, I'll get serious. Scott, first of all, having the two high, having the high line as well, how important does the yellow flag play when the sweepers get out there and clean that track up? Does that help with consistency on the high line?
I think that it seemed like it was used quite a bit today, so I don't think there was really any issue with the sweeping. The sweeping definitely helps. I think when they do it, it kind of gives everybody confidence to know that it's fairly clean. Plus, if you kind of get out of the groove a little bit, it's clean even higher, so it kind of gives you a bit of a safety net there. So yeah, I think it was used most of the race. Even I think some stints, I think I used the high line probably 70% of the stint. So. It was well in use today.
And then quickly for Marcus, a ninth and a third today, and oval races this year after not doing the ovals last year. Are you adjusting to oval racing, considering that we don't have it here in New Zealand?
Yeah, there's a lot to learn about oval racing, and it was sort of a baptism of fire last year. Having not done the 500 with the engine failure, obviously, and then this event was actually like my first actual oval race. So, yeah, I mean, there's so much to learn. There's so many nuances. Luckily, I've got loads of data and video to just dive through, and yeah, every single event, I feel like I'm improving. Qualifying this week was a bit of a disappointment. I thought we were going to be a bit quicker than we were, but ultimately we had a strong car in the races, and I felt comfortable, most importantly.
Well, congrats to both of you, and we'll catch up with you in Laguna in a couple of weeks' time. One day pretty soon, we're going to see all three Kiwis on that podium at the same time, and that'll be a magic day. Certainly looking at it, it's just a matter of time. There's absolutely no doubt about it, and it will happen. But onwards anyway, race two's winner was none other than Alex Palau, and another Honda victory for the season. So still only one Chevy race winner this year, and that was Pato Award the day before. For Palau, though, this now completes the collection of events, if you like. He's won on the Super Speedway at Indianapolis this year. He's won on street courses. He's won on road courses, permanent circuits in the US, and now he's won in a short oval. And I think this is a very significant milestone among all the other milestones this year for Alex Palau.
Oh yeah, getting a short oval win, it's huge. It's huge. I mean, already getting the 500 and getting my first oval win was like, man, it's great. Like I can already say that we've won on an oval, but short ovals, it's different. It's like a different animal. For me, it's like the same difference as road course and street course. It's that different. So getting a win here, it's huge. It's gonna give me the confidence to know that I'm able to do it. I know that there's still a lot of work ahead to try and be as good as some of the guys, like Joseph was getting through traffic, but at least we know we can do it.
Well, the teams moved then back through Indianapolis and up to Canada, the only Canadian race at Toronto, around the streets of downtown by the waterfront there. I've been there a couple of times. It's a great venue. It's a very traditional venue now, goes back as far as the Champ Car days and everything. Always pulls in quite a good crowd. It's very easy to get to, very accessible, but it's rough, it's bumpy, it's narrow, it's daunting. It's got some interesting corners, an interesting pit lane. It'll be a great race. And joining Indycar at this event, of course, is the USF Championship with the USF Pro 2000 Series featuring Jacob Douglas and Sebastian Manson. So it'll be good to see those boys back out on track. And then the teams, of course, come back from that and then they head straight to Laguna the following weekend. So way over to the West Coast of America and California. And two more Kiwis will rejoin the series with Callum Hedge and Liam Skeets in the Indy Next series. And Andretti cars have always been quite strong there, so it'd be interesting to see how that plays itself out. But good to see those guys back on track as well, as this championship really starts to get, dare I say it, and it's only July, into its closing stages of a championship season already. We'll have more for you next week from Laguna as well. But until then, thanks so much for coming back to Racing World. It means a lot to us. It's been a bit of a hard struggle over the last few months. But our passion for this, the passion for the sport, it will never die. It runs very strong in this man. I can tell you that for sure. And it's so good to support New Zealanders wherever we can. So let's join in and watch Racing World again next week.